The same coordinator that can't stop Sam Darnold and Jalen Daniels just replaced the guy that Jalen Hurts was begging advice from because Brian Daboll cursed him out. All right, look. I can't believe I'm doing this video right now. If you'd have told me at the end of that Minnesota game 2 years ago that I would be getting ready to do the video that I'm getting ready to do, I would have said you're crazy. I would have said you're crazy. But we got to talk about if Daboll should be fired. I'm not as mad at Joe Shane as I am at Brian Daboll because I feel like Joe Shane, Drew Phillips looks good, Tyler Newman looks good, Malik Neighbors looks good. I'm trying to be patient with Kayvon because he just had double-digit sacks last year. So you can't call Kayvon a bust when he was actually pretty damn good last year. He might just be like, even Brian Burns looks bad in this defense right now. So I'm trying to be patient with Kayvon because we know how good Kayvon could be. It's just this defensive coordinator has DeAndre Baker looks worse. Pinnock looks worse. Bobby Akurike looks worse. The whole defense just looks worse under this new coordinator, which leads me to why Brian Daboll should or shouldn't be fired. Why? Okay, let me gather my thoughts here, because let me gather my thoughts. What I'm trying to say is this. Last year, we won 6 games. Last year, the Giants led the league in turnovers we led the league in turnover margin. So we had a bunch of turnovers and we didn't turn the ball over, okay? So how do you lead the league in turnovers and commit no turnovers and still lose games? That's on the what? That's on the offense. Because if your defense is creating turnovers and your offense isn't turning the ball over, but you're still losing games, that's on the offense. Am I right? Are we on the same page, Giants fans? Okay. So if the offense is the reason we're losing games, and we have an offensive-minded head coach, whose fault is that? If you have a defensive coordinator that is literally winning you football games, he's so good that the best team in your division, starting quarterback Jalen Hurts, called him when he left the Giants. Jalen Hurts called Wink Martindale because he wanted to know what he was doing to confuse him. That's how good our former defensive coordinator was. The same coordinator that can't stop Sam Darnold and Jalen Daniels just replaced the guy that Jalen Hurts was begging advice from because Brian Daboll cursed him out. So I'm looking at Brian Daboll. You cursed out Wink Martindale, who was the best coach on this staff. I'm convinced Wink Martindale was the best coach on this staff because for the past 2 years, our defense has been our best unit. So Brian Daboll curses out Wink Martindale, and they never repaired that relationship. Mike Kafka don't even like him, but they wouldn't let Kafka leave. Which brings me to my next point. If you're not gonna let Kafka take the Seattle job, if you're not gonna let Kafka go for these second interviews with teams like Arizona a couple years ago, like you're blocking Mike Kafka from leaving. But then you strip the play calling duties away from him and just turn him into a puppet. We ain't even see Mike Kafka on Hard Knocks. What the hell does Mike Kafka do? Did we see Mike Kafka on Hard Knocks? I don't even know what the dude sound like. But you strip him of play calling duties and you make him the assistant head coach, but you let Wink Martindale walk out the door. So now we have a defense that can't stop shit. So it's Brian Daboll's fault that Wink is gone. Now all of our defensive players who basically were drafted under Wink Martindale, because Joe Schoen has drafted these players for Wink's system. Kayvon, Dexter Lawrence has taken off since Wink has been there. DeAndre Baker, not Baker, oh my gosh, Deontay Banks, drafted to be a Wink Martindale corner, a man-to-man island corner, right? You have these players. Bobby Akurike was a monster under Wink Martindale. Now, our defense is trash. And Brian Daboll's calling the plays, and our offense looks worse. This offense looks worse than what it did last year post Daniel Jones. Okay? Post Daniel Jones, I thought Mike Kafka did an okay job. I thought Tommy DeVito looked solid. I thought the play calling for Tyrod Taylor, I thought the play calling was solid once Daniel Jones left. Daniel Jones was garbage last year. But once Daniel Jones got hurt, I actually think Kafka didn't do a bad job. Brian Daboll's play calling versus Minnesota last week was garbage. Brian Daboll's play calling this week was slightly better, but at the same time, like, Daniel Jones is only 16 for 28. All Brian Daboll does is throw headsets and crack clipboards. That's all he do, man. Every time I see Brian Daboll, he either mean mugging a player, cursing into the headset, breaking the headset, or throwing the clipboard. Are we sure Brian Daboll can manage the football team and call the plays at the same time? I'm trying to be nice about the kicker situation. Because who the hell activates two kickers? Like, I get it. Everybody's ripping on him and Joe Schoen for not having a backup to Graham Gano. But my thing is this. If you activate a backup kicker who might not even be good, okay, when you're paying, we just gave Graham Gano a new contract. We made Graham Gano one of the highest paid kickers in the league, right? So if you activate a backup kicker, that means you have to deactivate an offensive lineman. What if an offensive lineman gets hurt and we don't have a replacement for him because we have to activate another kicker? What if a couple corners get hurt and we don't have an extra corner because we have to activate a kicker? Y'all get where I'm going with that? I'm not really as upset about not having a backup kicker because you never know what other position you might need in the game. And so I'm not that mad about that. But at the same time, that's Brian Daboll's job to have an insurance policy. If you're going to put Graham Gano on the injury report on Friday, then sit him. If Graham Gano is hurt on a Friday, then just bench Gano and elevate the other kicker. Why would you take a chance playing an injured kicker, not because of re-injury, but maybe because if a kicker has a lower body injury and his job is to use his lower body to make field goals, you would think you would want him to heal up before you let him kick a game-winning field goal. So what happens if the Giants, if Gano doesn't get hurt, but he's missing field goals because he's injured? What happens then? So, man, like I said, Giants fans, Brian Daboll, I think this is his last year. I'm not sure he's a good coach. I think the Giants, we might be in for another rebuild, man. We might be in for another rebuild, Giants fans. We might be in for another rebuild. Here we go again. It is what it is, man. It is what it is, fellas. It is what it is, but I don't see no signs of Daniel Jones looking like Josh Allen anytime soon. So this whole Brian Daboll quarterback whisperer, Brian Daboll makes quarterbacks look good. Look what he did for Tua. Look what he did for Josh Allen. I ain't seen no signs of life for Daniel Jones yet, but whatever. Um, whatever. That's it. That's all. Hit the like button. Hit the sub button. Drop FUs in the comments if you rocking with me, and stay vicious. Dismissed.